Okay, everyone, my name is Laquan Williams, and today in this video, I'm going to be doing the review for the current episode that just aired last night on for The Legends of Tomorrow. It aired yesterday on the 24th of November, 2021. It's season 7, episode 7, and it's called Woman's Place is in the War Effort. Essentially, what happened was the whole entire team was placed in 1945 there during World War II, and they time travel there essentially with Dr. Gwen Davis, who obviously is the new character that Matt Ryan is playing because he's no longer playing John Constantine. His time machine obviously got them there to 1945, and during World War II, they essentially once they landed there, they were in a looks like a basically a kind of a woods forest type of atmosphere. Essentially, what happened was they found out that they saw a bunch of guards who were driving around looking for people, and essentially found them. So they had to kind of play around and hide to get away from them. They used that key, that magical key that John Constantine gave Zari to help them create a door opening portal so they can go into obviously John Constantine's mirror portal of his house, like a pocket dimension. Basically, that's essentially what it is, so they could hide from them. So they did that, and then obviously when they came out, they walked around and looked around the area, and they saw that there was an aviation factory that they were able to go to. They figured and they decided to rule in favor of everybody going there to figure out what's going on. So basically, once they got there, they saw that it's a woman's only place. So all of the women on the team except the only person that was not there was Zari went to go work there because they needed those parts there because it's an aviation center. So mechanics, engineering, they needed those parts to obviously create at the factory, the manufacturing aviation factory slash plant, in order for them to obviously get the time machine to go up to get back up and running. So that's essentially what happened. Bishop was with them. They ended up finding out that the person that landed on top of them, that was flying in the air with a parachute, was Bishop. So the team brought him in, and they basically essentially asked him why should they trust him. He explained what happened, the whole situation with Gideon turning on him, and he destroyed their wave riders, so they know everything, obviously. So that's essentially what happened. So basically, all the women on the team except Zari went to the aviation center slash plan to get the parts there, lay low, try to obviously not cause any trouble there. But obviously, that's obviously not what happened. That didn't take place. Essentially, they did obviously end up getting the parts there. But they obviously had to, kind of work around the whole entire situation because they had to build up a huge big plane because this is obviously a war plane during World War II. So they were working there obviously on an assembly line to do that. And that's essentially what happened. While Gary and Gary and Dr. Gwen Davis were fixing the obvious time machine, Dr. Gwen Davis time machine. Gary was his assistant while Bishop was there. He wasn't really doing anything, but obviously bothering Bayrod and pissing him off. So he really didn't do anything to help the team contribute to anything. He didn't contribute to anything until the end when he built this type of head cap, like metal, like helmet that Gideon could put on her head that allows her to navigate the time machine. So the whole entire team, while they're with her in the time machine, she can navigate the machine to travel to wherever they need to be, because she's obviously a fully automated computer slash human being walking around with flesh and bone. Obviously, seeing as how she's not an AI system anymore, obviously, because they made that fully complete now that she's obviously a full grown human. But she still has the capabilities in her mind to still think very fast and obviously do a lot of stuff because she's obviously very smart. So she's basically a superhuman, basically. So that's basically what happened. So Bishop explained obviously what happened to the wave rider in the situation. They're trying to obviously see how they can get back to their current time of 2021. While they're doing that, obviously, another version of Gideon, the evil version of her, is tracking them down, the wave rider, and essentially trying to figure out where they are in time to destroy them, since she has the whole ship to herself and can command armies and forces to attack them. And that's essentially what they did. So in the end, they got the parts. They were able to go time travel to somewhere else. I don't know where they're at in the next episode, but it's looking like the the people that attacked them that Gideon sent was actually a clone version of the whole entire team that went to get them. Everybody survived except Bishop. He was captured and shot, and they took him out, so he lost his life. He's no longer alive. That's the regular nice version of him. The evil version of him is still out there, and we'll probably see him in possibly the next episode, which will be season 7. Episode 8, which is supposed to come back January 12th. So this is the last episode of the year until they have their I guess you can say kind of a winter break, obviously mid-season break. This is the mid-season finale, so the whole entire season is 13 episodes long for this season, which is season 7, the current one. Season 6, which was the last one, was 15 episodes long in total. I believe the next season, which will most likely and will be the last season, will be about 10 episodes long in total. So we'll see what's going to happen, obviously. They are saying and showing that Nate's going to end up living in the totem for the most part with Zari, so he won't be on the team. So essentially what some people were saying on the article I showed last week from some website, I forgot what it was called. It might have been this website, I don't remember. I'm on abclub.com. But they said that because Nate is going to live in totem with Zari, he's going to not be with the team full time. So because of that, they're thinking that Bishop's going to replace him. Now, seeing as how Bishop was obviously just taken out and no longer alive, they took his life. Obviously, the evil version of the team. It's looking like obviously the evil version of him. How would he be brought into the fold if he's obviously not on their side? Would they have to brainwash him or reprogram him? Obviously, that would not happen. That wouldn't take place. But they obviously would have to do that. Or they can drop this evil version of him in a timeline, grab another version of him that actually isn't corrupt and evil, bring him onto the team, and he can replace Nate, obviously. But he's obviously not a superhero. He's very smart, obviously very intelligent with creating, obviously, clones of Ava Sharp, and obviously the Wave Rider. That's what he does. He's an inventor and obviously a thinker. Kind of a weird mad scientist in a way, but that's essentially what's going on. So yeah, that's what happened. At the end of the episode, everything seemed to be okay, but then all of a sudden, Nate mentioned something about the timeline being screwed up, and then the next thing you know, the whole entire factory that they were in went black, and the guys were coming down from the rafters with ropes on. They looked like SWAT team guys, and they had automatic weapons. They were shooting at the whole team. They were running around trying not to get hit, and obviously trying to flee the scene, and obviously they did. But the only person that did not get out alive was Bishop. He sacrificed himself for the team. He used a 50 cal gun to take out all of the guys there who were obviously bad. He took out 2 people, but they were obviously clone versions of the whole entire team. So in the next episode, the preview shows that the team is being hunted by another version of themselves who are evil, clone versions of themselves. So it's basically Legends versus the evil Legends is essentially what's going on right now. So that will be taking place in the next episode, which will be season 7, episode 8. But like I said, the show's coming back on January 12th. They're currently going to be on a winter break / hiatus until then for about 4 or 5 weeks now, maybe 6. I think it's about 4 or 5 weeks. Yeah, that's what it's looking like right now. So the episode was okay. Everything else really that was pertaining to the show, like I said, they always have extra stuff that doesn't mean anything. You know, Bayrod and Zari and Nate arguing about the relationship that they have with Bishop, and the whole situation with Nate being put in the totem. All of that really isn't important. The only thing that was important was them obviously fixing the machine, so all that stuff really didn't mean anything. And then at the end, they actually had distilled time to party and celebrate and drink beer when obviously they weren't out of the woods yet because they still were in 1945. And then all of a sudden, once they were like, oh, everything's great, we're all good, so we're about to get out of here. Then obviously Nate says something about the timeline being screwed up. Next thing you know, the lights go black in that aviation factory that they're in, and the guys come down with the ropes like the SWAT team. Literally, they look like they were, and they started shooting at them, and they almost got, obviously, their lives taken. Bishop's the only one who obviously did not survive, and essentially what is happening is Gideon has sent a evil clone version of the whole entire team to track them down and hunt them, because she can't physically do it herself, so she essentially decided to do that. The evil version of Gideon, who's obviously corrupted, who controls the Wave Rider. So we'll see what happens with that. They said that it's going to be evil Gideon versus regular Gideon as far as the villain's fight status goes, and the status of that. I don't know how it's going to work out, obviously, because she's obviously the regular version of Gideon is obviously a human being who has flesh and bone now. So I don't know how it's going to work, obviously. Is she gonna have to jump into the cyber world and to the computing system of the ship and try to take out the evil version of her in order to take control of the Wave Rider so they can have that one? Obviously, that's another copy of the original one that they have, and that will help them out. Obviously, get back on track to traveling around through time and saving the timelines of any timeline. Obviously, we really don't know. We'll see what happens with that. That's essentially what's going on. Yeah, that was basically it. Everything else was basically it was centered towards obviously them getting the parts in the factory. But Yeah, that was basically it. So as far as the Bishop situation, whether he pops up again to help the team, obviously we don't know if another version of him is going to do that. The evil version of him more than likely is going to be helping Bishop take down the team. So that's probably what's going to be set up. While the whole entire team is going to be facing Bishop again because he was the villain in the last season, like because of the lazy writing of the CW TV network, obviously staff on the Legends of Tomorrow and other shows that it's happened a little bit here and there in the past, but it's been a very abundant, obviously very clear on this show that how that's been the case, where they just said we're just gonna make this show a comedy superhero show like the Guardians of the Galaxy, and it's essentially a ripoff of that, but it doesn't work obviously because they overdo it too much. See, Guardians of the Galaxy is only a movie. There's a couple movies. Obviously, this is essentially an episode every week, so it's much more longer. It's 13 episodes, so that's about 14, 15 and a half hours if you count, maybe even 16 if you count the total amount of time for the whole entire season for the episodes, obviously. So it's a lot more, much more, it's a lot more longer, it's much more longer. So that's obviously what's going on. We'll see what happens, like I said. The show is not funny anymore or fun. It's okay. It's just average. It used to be better years ago when they actually took themselves seriously. When the show is over next season, I actually won't be sad about it because it's on its last legs and it's kind of ran its course. It's super overly political, super cringeworthy, and I obviously really can't stand it. I don't give a damn about it really anymore. But just like every show that I watch, even though I still don't like what's going on, I still watch until the end. Lots of other shows like the ending of what was the show? Sons of Anarchy, the Breaking Bad ending for I didn't like those either, but I still watched them when they were over. The Dexter finale was kind of okay, but it was obviously a little weird with the whole him disappearing and whatnot. But this show was still very fun and entertaining. Obviously now Dexter's back with his revival series New Blood, which I've been talking about and reviewing. But that's essentially what's been going on. But like I said, I still watch into the end. Same thing with Arrow and the Flash. Like I said, some episodes have been not very entertaining, but you still watch it. You still watch it, but I still watch it just to make sure, obviously, that I'm still gonna obviously understand what's going on in the show, because I want to make sure that I'm not lost in any type of way. Because once you stop watching a show for a couple of seasons, you're like, okay, so now I need to play catch up, obviously. And that's like, a couple of seasons. That could be 24, 36 episodes, even possibly, obviously, 2-3 seasons or whatnot. So we'll see what happens with like the rest of the show. It's just like I said, they're like tryhards now. So we'll see what happens. Nate leaving and Bishop being his replacement is very creepy. Not creepy, corny and cheesy, but the two other words that start with C. So we'll see what happens with that. That could be the case. If he pops in and out every now and then, we'll see what happens. Obviously, Bishop joining the team, it just seems dumb at this point. But obviously, it wouldn't really matter because, like I said, the show is too far gone. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do that. Their ultimate villain for the past 2 seasons is now joining the team, but it's another version of him that's not evil. So it actually makes sense, is what they're trying to say, and how they're going to justify it. And obviously, if you're like me, you're like, I really don't care, but whatever, Bishop will be on the team on the last season, and it is what it is. I really don't care, but we'll see what happens. Obviously, it's not going to be something that I think is going to be super entertaining. Obviously, it's just going to be kind of weird and awkward. It's like, hey, remember you tried to destroy us multiple times and succeeded, obviously, destroying our ship and having us stranded in time, multiple places. Now you're on our team. Now we live with you, obviously, because they live together on that ship. It's not just their time machine, it's their colony / ship / house where they reside, obviously. When the show is over, they all go back to their respective timelines in their cities that they were in and times that they were in, and they'll obviously go back to their towns, cities, and homes where they were at. So that's essentially what will happen when the show is over. And if somebody is going to take the place of them, but we're not going to see that obviously take place. It'll just be the show is over, this is ending, here's who's taking their place, and that's basically it. But there will be no continuation because the CW actually does not do spin-offs at all. We've been seeing that for the past couple of years. They hype it up. They actually do pilot episodes. Then once obviously months have gone by, they say, you know what? We're actually not even going to do this show now, not anymore, at all. Excuse me. We decided that we're not interested in this show anymore. Like what happened with the Green Arrow and the Canaries. After the Green Arrow's season was finally last season of the Green Arrow, which was season 8, when the show was over, about 6 months went by, and we were all looking around. If you're all the Green Arrow fans are like, what's going on with the Green Arrow and Canary show? We haven't heard anything about it. We knew that was supposed to be taking place, obviously, with Oliver Queen, his kids, obviously, and Mad Dog's daughter, obviously taking place, and Connor Hawke, John Dickles' son, all working together, obviously. And they were supposed to work together to, be the new Team Arrow and Star City in the future, but so the CW TV network decided to pull the plug on that, and they never actually gave it the green light. But they did multiple episodes of it, and include the characters on the show for about 4 or 5 episodes, and they gave everybody a backstory and an origin story, so you kind of knew who everybody was. They did the same thing, obviously, with the Painkiller spinoff show that was supposed to be right after Black Lightning. It should have been actually right now, probably even starting its first season barely, but unfortunately, they decided to pull the plug on that. They gave Khalil Payne, played by Jordan Calloway, the actor. He had about 4 or 5 episodes, and you were like, oh, this is great, this is exciting. And once Black Lightning's done, we get to watch the Painkiller show. Then they said, nope, we're not doing that. So essentially what's going on is that they let these shows run the course, until their last legs. They're obviously about to be done, like they did with the Green Arrow, obviously the Supergirl, which is over, and they'll do it with Batwoman. Obviously, they're about to do it with the Flash as well. There won't be no spin-off show where Barry Allen's kids take his place. Obviously, they're not doing that. It's over. They just move on. In a couple of years, besides obviously Superman and Lois and Batwoman and Stargirl, I don't even know if Naomi will last 4 seasons or more. They'll probably just keep running those shows through the mud, because that's essentially what they do. Superman and Lois, I hope it gets 5-6 seasons, obviously, and stays on for that long, because like the other shows, it's actually better. Not interested in watching these other shows. We'll see what happens. Obviously, they're supposed to have a live action Powderpuff Girls show that's been delayed, but they'll still push that through because they really don't care. Essentially, that's what's going to happen, obviously, but we don't know. Obviously, it's all just pure speculation until that green light is obviously given. We obviously are just speculating. We don't know. Obviously, I don't know either, so I'm just guessing. But we'll see what happens. Obviously, in the near future. But that's basically it. Obviously, revivals don't really take place with these shows. Obviously, so that's basically it. That's all I have to say about this show. This current episode, and like I said, they're on about a 4 or 5 week hiatus for winter break. Legends of Tomorrow's current episode, which is season 7, episode 7, aired just yesterday on the 24th of November, 2021. There's about 6 more episodes of this season left. The last one, which will most likely be the 8th. I don't know if this will be the last season, but it could be. But if it's not, the last one, which will be the 8th, will be about 10 episodes long, because per every season, they've been cutting the episodes down by 2s. So the last 2, obviously, seasons have been 15, now 13 episodes. So if they do a final 8th one, it'll only be 10 episodes long. Won't be 11, because it won't make sense. It'll be, like I said, 2 parts, 5 episodes each for 2 different parts. It'll be a total of 10, and the show will be over, and that's it. You won't see the characters ever again, obviously, and there will be no spin-off shows. And that's basically it. Same thing will happen with The Flash. If it's over in season 9, that's it. There will be no spin-off shows with Wally West and Oliver Queen, Barry Allen's kids taking him and Iris West, respective places, obviously. That won't happen. That's basically it. That's the end of my review for the Legends of Tomorrow. That's the end of my review. And we'll see what happens, obviously, on the rest of the show in the next coming weeks. Thank you again for watching my video, and that's basically it. That's all I have to say about this. Thanks again. Let me know what you have to say in the comment section down below if you've been watching the show, obviously. And obviously, if you have stopped watching it years ago, why haven't you? Why have you, obviously? I understand if you have, but let me know what you have to think. That's all I have to say about this again. Thank you and goodbye.